Friday, everybody. This is your girl, Shantanique Langston, better known as Neek Speaks. I'm your personal and professional relationship coach, the creator of the Relationship Conference, and of course, your host of Candid Conversations. And tonight, we are going to be covering bullying in the classroom, and I have a special guest. And yes, I do have a student on. Actually, she is the daughter of my bro, all the way from California, Troy Rawlings. He have his daughter on today. He is so silly. So Zoe Rawlings is on today. She's going to be talking to us, giving us some good advice. I have my teacher. Look at him being a class clown. I'm about to put him out. Um, Tonight I have on my teacher hat, so I won't be talking about anything regarding relationships, but relationships dealing with our students or our kids, and of course parents. So make sure you guys, those who are watching the replay, make sure you subscribe and also send this video to another parent who may need the advice and the wisdom that's going to be dropped on tonight. So I'm excited to have Zoe on. Are you ready, honey?
Yes.
Awesome. So before we go into this, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit. Well, actually, no, I'm gonna just go ahead and do the icebreaker with her, and then I'll go ahead and give you guys the spill for tonight. So here's the question: when you grow up, what do you want to be and why?
I get that question a lot. Like the first day of school, they asked us what do we want to be when we grow up. Um, I was thinking of being a dancer and a singer and an actress. Um, because I think those are really cool jobs that take a lot of practice but are like really fun because people get to see your work. So I think that's what I want to be when I grow up.
Cool. Okay. That is amazing. And it takes a lot of work being in the performing arts um, industry. And it is an industry that is sometimes frowned upon, like it's not a real job, but it is. Music and dance, it definitely keeps the world afloat and applause us all to evolve. It's all a part of culture and tradition. So I take my hat off to you. I really hope that you do go into that field and you become amazing. And don't forget the little people, okay? So tell the people your name, how old you are, what grade you're in. Go ahead.
My name's Zoe Troy Rawlings, and I'm in fifth grade. I just started on this Monday. I'm 10 years old. I'm going to turn 11 in November, on November 1st. And that's pretty much it.
Cool. Now, how does it feel to be a preteen?
It's very fun because you get to get introduced to a lot more things that you would if like you're 5 or 8 or 9. So it's really fun, and I also think it's really cool because I'm just thinking like next year I'm going to be in 6th grade, middle school, and this is my only time, 5th grade, to be at the very top because in 6th grade, just right back at the bottom.
Oh, she is very, very aware. Okay, Troy. I am very, very
Yes.
pleased to hear that. What did you say, Troy?
I said yes.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Are you ready for her to go to middle school?
Yeah. I'm here for it. I'm here for it all. It's piece by piece. That's the thing. So
Yeah.
believe me, I'm enjoying and learning about 10. And I tell her all the time, that's 10, 11 to be here, and then I learn about it. I go year by year. I don't try to rush it at all.
I know that's right.
I understand now.
So let's dive in a little bit deeper and talk about the definition of bullying. So Webster says that it's seeking to harm and intimidate someone who is perceived as vulnerable. So what does the Bible say about bullying? It says that fathers do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up tenderly with loving kindness and in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. So I know that there are people who don't read the Bible. That's okay. We are not Bible thumpers here tonight, but I do want to make reference to the word and what the word says about how we should train up our children in the positive light, in the positive way. And I do understand that we all come from different backgrounds and different upbringings. And so that's why when you come into new information and new knowledge, that you take that knowledge and you apply that to your household, because there's so much going on, like I mentioned before, on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, you should. I am Neek Speaks on Instagram, and of course the relationship conference on Instagram. But you want to be aware of what's happening in the classroom. And some parents, they do have that nonchalant attitude that they don't care, and it's sad, but it's true. But I'm here tonight to tell you that it is not okay to allow your child to bully other children, because a lot can take place. The other student, their parent might be enraged and want to retaliate on your child. So you have to remember that someone's going to suffer from the consequences that you choose to create. So why is bullying awareness important? So a focus on prevention to bullying is promoting, again, positive actions such as kindness, acceptance, and inclusion. So that's one of the three things that we really talk about on the first week of school is procedures, expectations, and how to get along in the classroom, and following instructions just to keep things in order. So I know you know a lot about that. This is your first week back. So I'm sure you guys went through that process, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
So, two big things that bullying can lead to. The first one is school shootings. We've seen that happen just this past year alone. So we've had about how many? What, two or three?
Yeah, I think the last during this year 2022, I believe so.
Yeah.
It's been more. There's been more than that, but that's what's been televised.
Right. And I know right here in Michigan, we had quite a few incidents. We had the Oxford shooting. I'm sure that got national news. And then we had copycats right here in Michigan. And we had one in our school. We had a gun threat that did make local headlines. But the gun was retrieved properly. The students were okay. The student that had the gun, again, we have middle school in our school, and that student was not trying to cause harm, but he brought it as a scare tactic because he was taking up for another student who was being bullied. Now that is a whole nother thing we're going to talk about tonight too. Another big thing that happens or leads to bullying is suicide. I believe there was a young man a few years ago, not too long ago. He was 8 years old. He actually there were signs of some type of bullying happening, and he committed suicide at 8 years old. So that is a big problem. And I need for parents to really understand what's happening with your children. Are you having those conversations at home, and making sure your children are safe? So my first question tonight is, have you ever experienced bullying or witnessed someone being bullied before, and what did you do?
I've never been bullied. At least I don't think I have. I've never been bullied before in school. I live in a pretty kind school environment in the Burbank district. So I don't experience that many school bullies. My friend, well, I saw a kid getting bullied, but it wasn't physical. It was just mentally. They were talking about how they dressed and different things that they need to do, or stuff that they thought was weird about them. And I thought that was really interesting, because most bullies are either caused because they think that that's the new cool. If you're a bully, then you'll fit in. But you can't fit in with people who don't want to be your friends. Because that doesn't really add up much. I've met a lot of bullies that said or done things that showed me they're probably not trying to be mean, or they're probably just very insecure about their own lives, so they pick on other people and make them feel better.
This came from a 10-year-old. Yo, did you guys hear this? That is absolute. Those are like spot on signs of insecurity from the person who is bullying. So you made a quite a few wisdom nuggets. The first one is you can't be cool with people who don't want to be your friend. So you don't need to try hard to fit in. Be yourself, and people will respect you for that. So I love of what you just said about that. And then sometimes people who are bullying is because of their own insecurities. That is so good. This girl has so much wisdom. I am very, very proud of you. Um, and then you say you saw people, you did witness seeing someone being bullied. So how did that make you feel?
I didn't realize it at first. I thought they were just playing around because a lot of kids at my school, they're not like being bullied. But like when you have friends and it's like you're like saying mean things about them, but they're saying the same thing, but it was kind of like sarcasm jokes.
Okay.
I know a lot of kids at my school do that, so I wasn't thinking much about it until I realized what they were really saying and from the other person's point of view, because they did not look like they were having a fun time. They looked very uncomfortable.
I like the fact that you did observe that. That's very important because as you get older and you start seeing the body language, especially when it comes to dialogue, it's always good to check in with that person just to make sure that they're okay and that was there anything that happened that may have offended you and to encourage them. So, and I'm sure that you would do that. I think that that's something that you would do because you're very observant and very insightful. So that's a good quality to have at 10 years old. I tell people all the time that out of the mouths of babes, sometimes the rivers of life flow out of them, and they say some of the most profound things. And that just because they're small, they're little, they don't know anything, they do because young people they absorb everything. So I want parents to pay attention because your kids are watching you, just like they watch us in class. As a teacher, I have a co-teacher. We're constantly talking, and the kids are always in our mouth. We have to be careful of what we say and how we treat each other in front of this other students because we are modeling behavior, right? So I think it's very important for parents too to make sure that you're modeling good behavior in front of your kids so that they're not taking on what you doing at home, bring it to school, and then it starts to influence the classroom, and then those kids go home and the parents say, where you learn that from? I learned from so and so. Who is so and so? And that parent come up to the school. It's so much that happen that parents don't realize. They be looking for the kid. And then who is their mama? Like we don't have time for that. So but it's a real thing that happens, especially in the urban community, especially there. What did your parents teach you about bullying?
We had an incident before.
I don't really remember, but I believe that it was about like, because I've been in a situation where like you're playing around and you think you're playing around with a different person, but really you're actually a bully and you don't realize that. I've been in a situation with that like a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And I look back on it and I'm like, hey, wait, hold on. Were they really thinking what I was thinking, or was I just making a comment that wasn't the best thing in the situation? And then afterwards that day or like that same incident, I would say sorry, or like I was just being funny. I didn't know that would hurt your feelings or anything like that, because you can't tell if someone's like, oh, it's fine, or they're really mad about what you said and they're not going to tell you because they don't want to do anything about it. But it's usually just been like, if anything happens, please tell us. Because if you don't tell your parents or any trusted adult around you, you're never going to figure out the problem. of course, there's a couple of things that you could do about it, like you could tell a friend or tell someone close to you, but the best first thing you should do is tell your parents or tell a trusted adult, because it can turn into a big situation where it's like a fighting incident or something.
Yes, and I hope that parents allow their kids to see this, because I constantly tell my students, tell me, don't
Mhm.
put it in your own hands. And I hate to quote scripture here, but vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. It's at him, not us. So why are you putting your hands on somebody? Come talk, tell us. But I don't like when things happen when I leave the room. It just cringes my whole soul. It's like, why are you telling someone? Or you wait until you get home and say, Mom, so and so did this to me. And then your mom called me and I'm like, well, I was in the room. Who was in the room? So it's important that you make sure you tell an adult. That is the first offense. You don't have to use physical force to retaliate. Yes, you should defend yourself, especially when it's going to be you're in harm's way. But if it's something that's small, please come and tell an adult. That's the first thing. So I love that. What are some ways to prevent bullying from happening beyond the classroom?
Um, ways there's some ways you can prevent bullying and other ways that it just happens randomly. So I would say the best idea is if someone's like, because you can't always just ignore a person. Like, as human beings, you can't always just like stand there like a statue and pretend it doesn't hurt when it really does. Because
Mhm.
because then they're gonna keep doing it to you and then keep doing it to you, and then it just comes out like once in a while, and then they're crying or they're mad until go tell a teacher. But if you had told them the day before or the instant when it happened, it wouldn't be a situation like that. But I think a way to prevent bullying from happening is just, if you're in a situation where you feel like, ooh, these aren't really the best choices I have, like if you're with like a close friend or any of your other friends and they're doing something that's shady or weird or just not really dumb, then it's probably not the best idea to go with it, because then you can go with what they're doing and then you'll turn into a bully and you won't even notice until a teacher comes up to confront you or a student or a parent.
Oh, that was so good. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. You definitely need to be talking to a group of young people, because oh my goodness, this wisdom. You guys I will have to say, I can always tell how a child is raised by how they talk, their intellect, and how they articulate their words. And man, Troy, you and yeah, mom is doing a great job. Seriously, I'm very, 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 very proud. And glad to have her on. So my next thing I would say, I want to add to the prevention for parents. Help your kids understand what bullying is.
Hmm.
Talk about what bullying is and how to stand up, like you said, safely in a safe manner. Stand up for yourself. Words do hurt, but you can always take up for yourself by saying things in a calm manner. So I think there's a line of communication that has to be open in having this conversation. Make sure you keep that lines of communication open with your kids. Also, teachers who might watch this, you want to also keep that lines of communication open. Don't let the kids just sit there and deal with that, because social emotional needs are real. Kids need to know that they can be heard. They have a voice. That's why we have Zoe on today, so she can talk about what to do, what not to do, and give us the insight that we need as adults to help our kids. Um, Also, encourage kids to do what they love. Special activities. Sometimes those who are bullying, they need some special activities, something to do
Mhm.
to get that frustration out. Because I said this too on Instagram, that the person that's being bullied or bullying, they've been bullied at home. because a child, and I said this statement too on Instagram, a child is not a bully from birth. Bullying is a learned behavior. So I want parents to think about that. You might be upset because your child got teased or maybe even to a fight, altercation. But remember that other child who's the aggressor, something's happening to them at home because there's no way that they came out the womb angry.
It's like,
yeah. Sorry. That's okay. Well, that's true. That's his thing. He's our comedian. So yes, please encourage your children to do things. Find out what they like. Parents who might be indifferent about this conversation, I get it. You have your own life. You're still trying to live your best life. Listen, take the time out to get to know your children and their interests and put them in hobbies to boost their own confidence. Going back to what you said earlier about the bully and their insecurities. So if that kid was in an extracurricular activity, maybe they'll have more confidence. And guess what? That bullying behavior will go away.
That's right.
Give your children something to do other than bullying.
Yeah, pretty much.
Both sides.
Yes,
Yeah.
protect the whole idea is to protect them from bullying behavior.
Right.
And of course, the last thing is to model how to treat others with love and kindness and respect. In today's society, so many people are walking around angry. And this one thing I do want to bring up, because the Holy Spirit was dealing with me this morning about it, is that there are so many people walking around here with their trauma. And their trauma is not adult trauma. It's trauma from their childhood.
Right.
And it's now manifesting itself. As we can see, in all these viral videos, all these different Karens going to people's faces, so something is wrong and we need to deal with our issues. So when kids see adults acting out, they're like, oh, this is the norm. This is a trend. Let me do it too. Yep. It's not okay. It don't help teachers. That's why we have this conversation. It does not help us at all. You said what?
I said right. You're absolutely right.
It don't. That's why we're having this conversation. So you can help us and we can help you. Like that is the most important thing for teachers. And so we want to make sure we have an enjoyable time in the classroom for all of our students. So what is your message to parents about bullying?
I think like some parents have like in the schools, they just have this whole idea of like, if someone's bullying you, just ignore it. Just ignore it because they won't do it anymore and they'll get mad that it's not working. But that's not the case much. It's not always just ignore it, because I watched this video of this girl who got bullied for wearing glasses, and she's like really famous now. She got bullied for wearing glasses when she was like really small, like in 6th grade. And still today, she still can remember all the mean things that they would say and how many times adults would tell her to just ignore it. Just ignore it, just like saying, you know what, who cares? Doesn't matter. Just ignore it. I don't like when people say that, because that you can say that to your kid one day and then you'll realize that that's not going to help them at all. Because if you just ignore it, that can turn into like a big thing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That was good. You can't ignore bullying, but you can address it. So it's important to address it so that the aggressor knows, oh, she's paying attention, or he's paying attention. Okay, I can't come at them a certain way because they are going to say something or retaliate. So I think it's very important you speak up, because then it'll give them a chance to say, okay, I'm not going to talk to them. I'm not going to bother them. They're not going to budge. I know for me, when I've seen it in the past, like bullying, and I've actually tried to help someone one time. And so it was so funny because they wanted to jump me because I was helping the other person. And I stood up even for myself then. And so they never jumped me. People would threaten you. We're in elementary school. It didn't happen, because kids are going to say whatever. But when you begin, if you don't say anything, like you said, if you go turn the other cheek sometime, it can cause you more harm. So yes, I totally agree with that. And so why is bullying prevention important to you?
I have a lot of people, and me too, they just feel empathy. It's
Mm-hmm.
normally just empathy, or it just gets like really irritating when someone's like picking at you and picking at you for what you wear or what you eat or what style you are, what skin you have, or like why do you do this or do this. And like my friends will ask me that, and I know they're not thinking about it, but I'll be like, why not? Because sometimes you just have to say something that will make them think like, well, because of this, and it won't really makes any sense because they don't really have an answer when you say something like that, because it's letting them know like you're taking it seriously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're not expecting. Again, kids have a perception like, oh, that person's probably soft. They're not going to say anything. But that's that you're looking at the eye, the image, thinking, okay, they're not going to, they're not going to retaliate. But look, looks are deceiving. Don't be fooled, because people try to take your kindness for weakness. That's actually your greatest asset, is kindness, and not allowing anyone to just come into your space and be extra. So I definitely agree with you. Troy, did you have any last words you want to say to parents or even to kiddos out there?
Um, just to take time and um, like even before this, me and Zoe were talking about just just something, in the within the family. Just me, taking time to talk to your child. And like Zoe at 10 is not Zoe at 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. So, and we talk a lot about there was an incident before where she had the because she had something had happened, teacher had asked her, Zoe had told, how it is if you become the tattletale. And they're like, oh, Zoe told? And some little boy chased her. And when I got up to the school, of course, nothing. Parents never know what's going on until we get to the school. And I forgot what grade this was, maybe like 2 years ago. Maybe.
It
No,
wasn't
actually,
third grade because I did third grade online. It was probably like second or first or
this
kindergarten.
had to be like second grade.
Okay.
Yeah. So, um, and I went up to the school and they said, yeah, just letting you know the little boy chased Zoe and this was what happened. She told me everything. I was like, what little boy?
See?
Dad, it was like, what little boy? And she was like, telling me what happened. I was like, really? So the next day, I go up to the school and I go into the other like after school care. I was like, is this, I forgot his name. This little boy here?
Dominic.
No, you ain't say, you ain't say his name. But well, it was one of the Dominics because she had a friend Dominic. So I go up there and I was like, is he here? Well, I was like, more so give his parents my number. And the principal called me. It's like, Mr. Raw. I was like, yeah. He's like, we heard about the incident, this, that, another, and then we heard you went by there and wanted the parents to get in touch with you. I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, we don't do it. We usually try to handle everything. I was like, and I started laughing. I was like, if you guys handle it, I don't have to. And I wasn't making a threat. It was just when I came up, it was easier for the parents to get together. Now, I know what you're talking about, because some parents, you don't want to sit them around. Well, what did she do? You're like, wait a minute. Because all I heard is a little boy was chasing a little girl and the girl was scared. When the little boy was trying to hurt a little girl, the parents would bring them together and said, first off, and my mother told me too, first off, why are you chasing a little girl like you're gonna hit her? You ain't not supposed to hit a little girl. It was certain rules on that. Now I know a lot of things have changed, But the parents got together and talked to the children, so they knew the parents were on a united front. Parents weren't always beefing, and parents were always defending their kids. And I'm of that sort too. I know my child doesn't do everything right. I know she 10. She don't do everything right, but 10. But at the same time, it helps talking to her, because you get to, and getting past the baby stuff. Like sometimes kids feel like they got to form one way, especially if we have we're co-parenting, but her mom lives here, I live here. We're both in Burbank, or we're both in the Valley area and stuff like that. But we're both very active with her, but we both have different ways of parenting. So that means we got to come together and talk too.
Yeah.
So if you're co-parenting, you know what I'm saying? If you're co-parenting, your kid is children do it anyway, even in the same household. You know what parent would give you what. So you lean into the parent to give it, like, let me lean over here. My dad was nice. My mother was the disciplinarian. So I knew certain things I could get away with my dad that I couldn't with my mom. But when they talked, and I tried to do it, I said, oh, so you went to your father after I told you no, you went to him. He's in there like, all right, but you know what I'm saying? But that's the thing. Parents have to talk. Even if and I know it's hard sometimes if you're co-parenting, you don't have a situation where you're co-parenting, or you have a situation where the person is out of state or stuff like that, because you don't know what they're getting when they're with the other parent unless the parents talk. Because the kid will chameleon. They'll be a chameleon. They'll go, if the mother is teaching this kid to be violent, or there's abuse, or the father's abusing the child, and you don't know. But like somebody told me years ago when Zoe was, I think she was like 3 going to pre-K. She's like, you hug and kiss on Zoe a lot, dude. I said, yeah. She was like, we can tell she's a very affectionate child. She's like, we can tell what's going on with a child by how they act. We know everything that's happening at the house by how they act. So you're absolutely right. If a child is bullying, there's some kind of tension or non-attention at home.
That's right. Yeah. This was so good. Oh my goodness. I feel like we need to do a part 2 and have some more. Maybe have another student on. My mentee, she's actually in middle school. I may have to get her and her mom on here too, and have you guys just go back and forth. This is her first year as a 6th grader, so I think that would be cool. And she was a bully.
Oh, she was a bully in elementary?
In 1st grade. Yes.
Well, ain't nothing like getting the bully who was a bully in elementary school being the 6th grader in middle school and see how it works.
I was just with them a few weeks ago, and I showed her a video when she was younger, and her mom was like, "Oh my God, you were such a bully!" And so when she saw it, she said, "You kept this, Miss Langston." She said, "Oh my gosh, I was a hot mess. Why did I do that?" And so it made me think about. I said, maybe I should have had her on tonight too. But we may have to do a part 2 and have her on. Have you guys both dialogue, and I think it'll be amazing. But you guys were great. Again, thank you all so much for being on. You guys, make sure you follow Troy Rawlings. He's amazing. He is our comedian, relationship, love, all that good stuff. He has several books. You want to tap in with him. If you are in the Burbank area, I know he has like a lot of events going on or coming up soon, right? Some things going on right now, or
all over. If you follow me on social media, you find all of it. But in Jacksonville, we'll be in Jacksonville, Florida, doing a big event in November, and I'm trying to do more philanthropic events. And we have a big festival coming up, actually in Burbank, on next year in April. So that's going to be huge.
Okay, cool. All right. Amazing. Zoe, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all that wisdom you gave the parents and the kids on tonight. I know that parents are going to replay this video. I'm not sure who's watching, but thank you for coming on. This was a very touchy topic. A lot of people kind of shun away from this topic, but it's very, very necessary. And I'm telling y'all, it helps when we communicate and talk about bullying so that the children can have a better academic experience in the classroom, and of course give teachers a more peace of mind, because it can cause a lot of confusion and takes away from the academic experience. People do not realize that. So Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. Make sure you guys tap in with us in September. We have an amazing lineup happening. We're talking about the qualities of the sexes. September 9th, talking about qualities of a woman. And then, of course, after that, we'll be talking about qualities of a man. And you don't want to miss who's going to be on with me. So you guys make sure you stay tuned. Of course, follow me on Instagram at Neek Speaks and at the Relationship Conference. Also, if you're a parent and if anything resonated with you, make sure you tap in with me on my parenting and teacher tip page. It's called Reach to Teach on Instagram as well. And of course, follow Troy Rawlings on all social media platforms. You want to tap in with him. He's a funny guy. He has some great insight on relationships as well. So again, thank you so much for listening, everyone. You all have a good night.
Bye.
See you in a bit.